Glad to share the places and the people that we'll meet. Think of the memories we'll have. Exploring hidden history. It's time to hop aboard on the road with Malibu and Dad. On the road with Malibu and Dad.
Thank you for getting the water. And so we have to dig this up now to level the base. That's the next thing. And the pins are not cracking it. For everyone on that side, you can't see it, but there are lead kind of shields that are around the pins. The pins have oxidized, but there's no cracking on either the headstone or the base. And so we're not going to disturb the pins. We're not going to mess with them. But what we're going to do is level the base here and then clean the surfaces. So in order to do that, we're going to have to dig around it. We don't necessarily have to lift it off of its footprint here, but we're going to try to just pry it up and level it. And so we're going to immediately find out how big the base is pretty quickly. Okay, it's only that big. It's not that big a base. So we could just actually flip it out of the way. You want to push down on that shovel and I'll just roll it over. Yep, just go higher. Okay, so I'm going to just roll this out. And so let's see what's under here. Thank you. It's like some hard packed material, but not concrete. Looks like packed gravel. And right here, there's a little bit of it, actually. So let me see if I can remove that. I'll open this a little bit. Yeah, there should be some kind of a chisel in here somewhere, maybe. I hope. Yeah, good eye. Okay, so this is dirt, but this is like a mortar material. So I'll knock this off right like this. I'm using a carbide chisel here made by Marshallton tool and a pickguard hand drilling or mash hammer they call it. And these are both in the handouts actually. I should be wearing glasses, but I forgot them. So I'll do the old Mason's method. You squint and turn away when you hit it. So yeah, we're good. It's almost free. Little tiny chip out of the corner. You can see the color of the marble. This is all going underground, so it's not an issue.
Here's your glasses.
Oh, perfect. Now that I'm done chiseling.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you. That's good.
Not fast enough.
That's good. That's where they should be, in the bag. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to open this up a little now, and I think so. There's something here. Oh, interesting. Okay. So yeah, we have this drainage rock, which is actually excellent stuff. But if you get drainage rock, it's best to have a coarse sand with it, so that way you could fill in the smaller areas around the big chunks. So coarse drainage rock like that is ideal, and if you combine it with other materials, and it's good for big buildup because it will have really good drainage, as the name implies. Well, it'll be fine. We'll manage with what we have. There's a little bit of concrete kind of around the edge, which is interesting, but it's not really affecting anything. So let's see, here's another chunk of something. Probably could have left this, but this is concrete, so this is not historically significant. And a little more concrete. So it looks like they put a kind of a most strip, they call it sometime, like a little perimeter around the base. But fortunately, it's not strong. It didn't bond well in the long run. So we'll get that out of the way. And we're pretty good to go. I'll get some of that gravel over here, if you would. Just one bag should be good for now. Put these on. Here, I can open that. show you the easiest way to open it. It's with a shovel, like that. We'll probably use the whole bag on this, but if we have extra, I'll take a little out of the way. All right, thank you. A little wider than we have to be, but it's okay. I was going to try to put some of this stuff back in. We don't really need it, but sometimes what I do with stuff like this is I break it up and mix it in with everything. Again, this is kind of coarse material, but it'll work out fine. But this is ideal if you have a coarse sand to mix it with. It's good for big buildups and good for drainage. So it's looking pretty good. So we'll just move forward. I'm going to roll the base back in, and then we'll work on alignment and leveling. Obviously, if this base was 600 or 800 pounds, I wouldn't be handling it the same way. So depending on the shape and weight, we have a lot of different options on how we're going to handle it. So a lot of time you can go under the bottom of the base like this, but we can also move things with a wood block so we don't have to touch it at all, like this. Okay, and you want to, I don't know if there's anything to go by here for parallel, if there's any frame of reference. Looks like there's something over there. That is true. There is something parallel, and it's very hard to, it looks like this side should probably come this way a little. Maybe about like that. Okay, I think that's okay. Pretty close that way. The front to back was the issue in the first place, which is this direction. And so you get a straighter angle so this doesn't keep twisting. Okay, so we want to pack material under at a low angle. And what we're going to do here is add a little bit of this organic matter to lock it in. Again, sand would be better. Okay, let's pull this out, pack this back. It's actually really good where it sits. It looks like it should come up just a little bit on this side now. Over here. So I'll go down here. Now we can just drag around some of the material we have here already because there's extra. You want to push down on the bar a little? Yeah. Good trade. A little higher. Okay, that's good right there. I'm going to go low angle, pack this stuff under. Gonna mix a little of this in to make sure it locks in, and once we regrade it all, it'll be fine. Okay, relax that bar. It's good that way. It's pretty good that way. You can pull that out. It's pretty good all around. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and regrade this, and then we'll work on cleaning up the surfaces so we can join it back together again. You can pull this rock out of the way, it's too coarse to use it. Thank you. Okay, bring all this stuff back in, basically regrade. A couple other materials that are really good to have is topsoil pile for finishing things at the end, but actually more than topsoil, like a fill dirt, which would be generally a dirt that's sandy, could have some small rocks in it, but a lot of time there's a lot of uneven depressions, and topsoil works, but it's very loamy and you have to buy it. Fill dirt is a good material to also have. Okay, looking pretty good. It's pretty well locked in. I'll just get the little remainder of this out of the way. You can see how I'm using this spade shovel like a rake. works quite nicely. We can also use a tarp or a piece of plywood, which will help with cleanup a little, just to lay the dirt on. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So now let's get the water.
Would anybody like to try to clean the bottom of this? Should you help join it? Anybody? Come on, get brave. Come on. Somebody besides Steven. He's been here the last 3 workshops.
Here, we have something to kneel on if you want, but yes. So let's stay on the flat area. You're good, but you can just run it down like that, and just, yep, there you go, good. And so what we're using here, you just stay on the flat on the top, and that's the stainless steel brush, because we're just going to quickly clean the mating surfaces. It's actually going to be in the center, but it's all right. Just stay on the flat top, and we'll be fine. It's looking good. Okay, we'll clean the rest of it after. Actually, as soon as we reset it, we can clean the whole thing with D2. So the next thing, we got to clean this. Just careful of those metal pins sticking out, and we can get this out of the way. And you could just come in, just don't scratch yourself on those. You could be a little more aggressive. You're probably better off to run it that way, correct? Yeah, like train, think of train tracks. And you could turn it a little to get this edge a little bit, just a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. Because we're going to have the joining material around the edge. Mainly be careful on those sharp pins that are rusty. See how clean that is under there? Because that was always a protected area. It's very white, and the camera's on the wrong side. So, you can also see the lead in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay, that's looking really good. Yeah, you could brush that metal a little, just carefully. That's good. Yeah, good idea. Now, what happened here is the pins actually protected this. Excuse me, the lead protected the pins from cracking the stone. All right, so yeah, so we're looking good there. Now we want to clean this out a little better and make sure we have enough depth here. And so that's looking pretty good. Now we can take a small tool, like a tuck pointer here, and we can just see, try to see if there's any loose debris here. There is. That's actually, that's lime putty. That's original installation material. That's what that is. It's still soft. That's lime putty.
It looks a little softer than plumber's putty, doesn't
A traditional lime putty, when mixed with sand, made a traditional lime mortar.
Okay.
And however, when it gets wet, it'll actually dissolve and turn back into lime. And so that's why a traditional lime mortar doesn't have good longevity in an outdoor environment in many situations.
This one's lime and not sulfur like we had yesterday.
That is true. Yes, this is a lime, so this is more like a mortar, like a historic mortar.
That's
Yep.
what, yeah.
So if there's any other water source in here, that would be good. We have almost enough. You can see, actually feel how feel how smooth that is right there. That's the way the whole stone fell. Now feel right there, feel the difference there. Sandpaper, feel that. Smooth as glass.
Yeah, it's like a countertop.
And that is exactly the way the whole stone was when it was first made. It was polished, it was smooth, it was shiny, and also that polish afforded it some protection from the weather, but unfortunately in an outdoor environment, it tends to wear away the polish on marble. One of the reasons marble is not used today anymore because it doesn't have durability, good durability in an outdoor environment, so it's not used for monuments for the most part. Okay, I had a little more. Okay, someone's getting some water, and
almost
then we'll be good to go. And then we can work on raising this back up pretty quickly. We just got to rinse it a little better, dry it out mostly, and then we'll work on joining it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Do you want your hat?
Oh, I was wondering what that was. Look at all that stuff coming out. We got more power with this sprayer. Look at that. Wow. See the sand coming out? That's because it was a lime mortar, 2 components, lime putty and sand. And so it just turned back into, it's the raw ingredients basically. Okay, so that's pretty good. I'm sure we have enough depth now. So let's take a look. I'll show you how we can measure for that. First I'll just take some of this blue towel and just dry this out pretty quickly. And you could use like rags for this also. Most rags today are not very absorbent because they're synthetic, but back in the day it was cotton, you know, cotton sheets got torn up and made rags. That would be a good material. Synthetic rags I don't quite understand. They don't absorb anything, so I'm not sure what they do. But certain things aren't good as synthetic. It's harder and harder to find natural fiber clothing as well. It's more and more, you know, petroleum-based materials like polyester. So, okay, that's looking pretty good. That's a separate workshop.
I found an organic cotton farmer in California.
Nice. And hemp is making a comeback. Industrial hemp is making a comeback as well as the other kind of hemp. Okay, so looking pretty good now. I can show you how it's hard to measure in a hole like this. Most tape measures won't fit, but we can take the tool, drop it in, put my hand there, and we have that much length. Okay, and it's way more than we need here for these pins. Okay, so we're good to go. So the next thing we could do is take this tarp, and the reason we're going to use this is just because we just cleaned this and we don't want to put this back into the dirt. And so I can just take this tarp, and it can be double, tripled up like this. That's better actually because it's a pretty thin tarp. And so we're just going to go like that. Now when we stand this up, these pins might punch through, but that's okay because it's an inexpensive tarp, so we're not going to worry about that. Let's get someone new to run the hoist as well. So anybody who hasn't done this, how about this young lady right here? Yes. So you can go take this, just that chain. Now let me just help you out. Probably better you know, if you get into this, to not do open-toed shoes. But we're gonna keep keep you a safe distance.
I'm a paddleboarder. It's a natural.
We're gonna keep you a safe distance. So you could stand over here.
Okay.
Okay, just a little further back, and now the chain won't hit there. Now you just pull that arm over. Yep, just like that. You're good. Yep, you're doing all the work.
Look at you restoring history, girl. Oh yeah.
So we have a huge mechanical advantage, and so you'll see it's not going to be that heavy, even though it's about 300 pounds. Is it heavy?
Not at all.
It'll be a little heavier when we actually lift it. So we're going to go in here, move the two sides. You're doing great. I'll wait till it's up, and then we'll continue. You're good.
Or your head.
No, I hit the branch. We'll bring it all the way till it's up, and then we're going to have to move the tripod a little to do the final lift. Okay, good right there. And so now let's just take the tension off a little. You're fine. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is bring this leg back a little. Okay, and I'm going to demonstrate, because this is acting like a plumb bob. Let me just lower this down a little more. And I want to just show you where it's going to want to go. Okay, it's actually right to the front of where we're going to be, which is pretty good because we can help it a little. But just to repeat what I said before, a lifting tripod, whether it be a manufactured tripod like the one we use from Wallace Crane, or this homemade version that I invented, it's only going to do two things: go up and down. Okay, so we're going to compensate by offsetting it and doing multiple lifts, and or giving it a light push when it's not a swing, but a light push to help it get where it wants to go. Okay, so we're just going to push this back a little, and that looks pretty good right there. So I'm going to rehitch this up. Okay, now one other thing I have is I have one of these pads These are great for dealing on. These are wonderful. They're made in America by Earth's Edge, and they're one of our sponsors as well. And I use these all the time to protect the stone against the base as well. It's not an intended application of it. See, right now it's on the chain a little, but now you can take over again with this chain. And the pad is going to protect the stone from hitting the stone as we go up. You're doing all the work. Okay, keep going. See the way it protected it? The pad rolled over with it. And I really didn't have to do anything. Okay, and it's just about perfectly centered. So just stay there for 1 second. And we're going to use these 1/2-inch blocks. And we're done with this. So I'm going to get this out of the camera's way. And we're done with all this stuff here. Okay. And so actually it's going to be the other chain now. So you could probably just let go for a second. Just let go completely. And you could go to the other side. And I'll make a little room for you here. Move this and this out of the way. And I believe it's going to be this one. Yep. So just hold that for a second. Okay, let me get these set up again. And now you're going to go down real... Hold on a second. There's an ant here. Okay, there we go. I'm going to come back here so I can guide the pins. Okay, so go down real slow. Yep, keep going. Doing a great job. Yep. Okay, we're in the pinhole now. All the way down. Okay, a little more slack. So we'll just slack it off a little. So that's it. Everyone got it? So the last thing will be setting, but we're done with the hoist. So I'm going to take the slings off now. And then I'm going to show you the easiest way to take down the tripod. And so the same principle we lifted this with, we could lift much heavier objects with. And I don't know, it seems like it's leaning a little, but I think it's just, I don't know, we'll fix that after. I'm not sure why it's doing it. We can manage. So I'm going to lower this down. Now we have this tree in the way. So I'm going to work around it. I'm going to pull the hoist off. Get this out of the way. And then the easiest way to fold this up is going to be to go up to a single leg and put my foot on it, and then it'll fold up to me. Quick, I'll get this out of the way back here so no one trips over it. Okay, now we're ready to join it. And the sun is out bright again now. So last year I did the tour in the middle of summer, and it was really hot. So when I got down to Georgia, wow, it was amazing. Had a huge amount of attendance showed up first thing in the morning, and by like 10:30 there was almost no one there. Huge DAR group was there, and as soon as that sun came up, they headed for the hills. Okay, so I'm just getting this in position to set it. Okay, so I'm offsetting the blocks, so it'll make it easier to lower down. Certainly seems like it's leading. I could tell it is. I'm not really sure why. It's interesting. Okay, well anyway, we'll figure it out when we set it. The base is level, so I'm not sure what's going on, but we can fix anything. So someone can mix 1 unit of this epoxy putty, and so I'm going to put on some gloves for that, so we can have a volunteer. Awesome. They call these large, but they're large in Asia, so they're probably small in America. They're still pretty large. You could use medium. I need extra large. Okay, so this is a 2-part epoxy putty, and there's like 2 plastic wraps on it. Thank you. These are amazing hats that stop me from cooking in the sun. There's going to be 2 wrappings of plastic on this. I'm just helping speed it up. That's one. So that's one component, and you could just start kind of mushing that together, and I'm going to hand you this in a second. And they're going to mix these together until they become one color. It's kind of like playing with Play-Doh. And it should be really easy to mix in this warm temperature. It'll take a couple minutes to mix. Now this particular epoxy putty is unusual because it likes water, and so you can actually wet it a little. You don't have to, but it will mix with water or set underwater. Most epoxies do not like water. So now the next thing we're going to need is some spacers. See, these don't fit on me at all.
Because you got them all mixed up.
I don't know where they are. So now I need some snips. Awesome, we have that ready. Thank you. So we're going to use spacers in the corners, and that's to, on bigger monuments so the stone doesn't crash into the other piece and chip or crack it, but also to have an equal space so it doesn't squeeze out all the joining material. I cannot even put these on. They do not fit my hands. Okay, so I'm going to cut 4 spacers. These are number 2 lead wedge, it's called, which is 1/8 inch thick. There's also number 3 and 4. I'm going to go without because these are annoying. Okay, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Usually the thick part out. Okay, how's that mixed? Awesome. So one color. So this is going to take about a half hour to mostly harden. It'll probably have about, in this temperature, maybe 15-20 minutes working time, and it'll probably mostly harden in an hour or 2 hours at the most. I'm going to break this in half and half again, so I have 4 about equal pieces. And it's on 1/2 inch blocks here, 1/2 inch thick. I believe these are 1/2 by 1.5 inches wide. So I'm going to do contact points. You can just watch what I do. It's easier to watch. So I'm going to then put some on each end as well. And then we're going to go over this with a monument setting compound and join it together. And it'll be all done. And the way we're joining it, we can clean it right away after. Got a couple extra little pieces I'll just put on the sides. It doesn't have to be in one place. Basically, these are acting like pins. We did leave the pins in, and a lot of people are like, why didn't you put the putty in the pinhole? I could have, but I don't like to put pressure on it if it expands from more rust or something. But that would also be an option. All right, now we're going to use the monument setting compound around the perimeter. Thank you. I got helpers here today. Greatly appreciated to expedite the process. We don't want angel hair, beads of this. In other words, we don't want to string it out like really thin like this because it's not going to then create a good bond. And so because these blocks are 1/2 inch wide, this material is not toxic at all. It will get your hands dirty. There is some oil in it, but the oil does not spread into the stone as long as you use it properly, which is what we're doing here. So I'm going to lay this under and just tuck it under just like this. Okay. And don't go right against the block, or when we pull the block out to set it, it'll pull the compound with it. So I'll show you what I mean. So we can actually let it run wild. In other words, leave an extra piece and then fold that over after. So I just need a little more. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. This is like a team effort here. And so we'll finish this one up so we can go on and do some more stuff. Stretch that out. So I kind of like to stretch it in place, and it should like slide right under. It's a 1/2 inch gap there we have, and it should fill it up. So yeah, this is okay. We want probably just a little more here. Just a little bigger piece would be good, so we have a little excess. That's good. A little more than we need is always better because we don't have to use it all. I'll just use what I need there. So I'll go back to these small blocks. Okay, I have the, thank you. So I have a 1/4 inch oak block and a 1/2 inch oak block. And as I like to say, when I used to be a modern monument installer, I never moved stone with wooden blocks. I used metal tools, but then I discovered that with a couple little blocks, it's safer, easier, and less likely to chip. So I'm taking the 1/2-inch block, putting it down on, this is called a drop wash, this angle on the base. Then I'm gonna use the 1/4-inch block. I'm gonna come up. Now I can pull this out, and then I can push this in. Now another option, I can push it in like this, so I don't have to have my fingers near it. I generally use the back of my fingers, so if this slips off of here, it won't crush my fingers. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and set the stone now. This is the actual set. When you say setting a monument, it's the whole process, but this is the actual set. 1, 2, 3, down. Okay, now we'll do the other side, and then we'll see if it's not plumb, we'll adjust it. I'm not sure. It is possible that the bottom of this is cut at an odd angle. It should be 90 degrees, but if they cut it at 89.5 degrees, then it'll never sit square, so it will compensate under the base if necessary. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and join it. Same process, 1/2-inch block on the wash, 1/4-inch block in my hand. You don't have to hold this, okay? This is gonna stay in place on its own, so it's better not to have your fingers up there. I'm gonna tip this up, I'm gonna pull this back, I'm gonna roll this in, back of my fingers again, and I have excess, I can just leave it out. I'm gonna set it 1, 2, 3 down. Okay, now I'm hoping that it squares itself out now. To get it to seat itself. Okay, I'm not ready for that, but thank you. Next thing I'm going to do is put a level on it and just take a look and see what I got. But I'll get to that in a minute. And you guys can help trim it. It certainly seems like it's better, much better now. We're trying to correct it. It probably had something to do with the way the pinholes were, and it was kind of pushing it because I left those pins in place. Oh, there we go. Now we have plumb. So plumb is up and down this way. That bubble level is this way. Okay. Again, level, plumb, and bless you. And they're 90 degrees. That's why we call it a plumb bob. When we hang something and put a weight on it, it gives us true vertical. And so right now, I'll just double check. It looks really good now, so that's excellent. We can check this way, but it doesn't really matter. It's perfect both ways. And so we're really happy with that. And so I'll go ahead and show you the front, and then I'll let these guys trim the back. We're gonna take this, just run it through. We can use different tools to do this. This is called the tuck pointer, and it's a pretty worn away one, but it works well. We can kind of push this out of the way. We can pick this up and recycle it. And now, thank you. You can go ahead and let somebody else come in and go ahead. It's not hard to do, and you can kneel on this if you like, but you can go ahead and trim it, and so it's all done. Any questions about that?
Straight.
Question like that.
You can push or pull, and you can kind of, it doesn't have to be one thing. You can just run it through like
Gotcha.
that, and then you can do the same thing here. And it's all done, and this is ready to clean. The only thing I could say is because the epoxy putty will take an hour or two to really harden up. We don't want to push really hard on it with a brush, but it's solid enough. And you might want to put a hand here, but you could go ahead and clean this now, or we could just wait. But it's all done.
No more wood chip. Yay.